The doctor did say, you're going to struggle with this because you're 52. I was bedbound. I couldn't get out of bed. I could just about manage to get to the loo and couldn't shower. I had to use a flannel to clean myself. Really bad brain fog. I was just unbelievable. My tinnitus was unbearable. Couldn't stand noise. I couldn't stand smells. I couldn't stand light. I literally, standing was impossible. I had such a range of eclectic headaches. I remember I'd be popping ibuprofen and paracetamol every 2 hours just to
Wow.
keep headache away, to allow me to rest. Slept so much, heaven was just laying down, doing nothing, not being able to move.
Welcome everybody to the CFS Health recovery interview with Andrew from UK to share his recovery from chronic fatigue syndrome story. Andrew, stoked to have you here. Known you for a while now. We've had a good chat off air. And I'm so pleased to be able to share your story with the world because I think it's a really unique one. And, not many males kind of once they recover, have that courage to kind of come out and share. It's not usually, usually the person puts the fork in the ground and goes, all right, I'm moving on. So I really appreciate your time. And thanks for coming on. If we can kind of wind back the clock before we met when you were suffering with chronic fatigue syndrome, what was going on in Andrew's life back then?
Yeah, hi Toby, great to see you again, and thank you for having me on. I'm delighted to be here. Absolute pleasure. So, life before chronic fatigue, I had a big job. I had a global role, so I had the pleasure of traveling the world, really, looking after markets in Asia and Latin America, as well as Europe. In fact, the only place I didn't have was North America and Canada. So I spent a lot of time in airports, a lot of time in planes, managing a big team for a huge American conglomerate. Did that many, many years. I had an enormous amount of fun, loved every single minute of what I did. And I guess my summary on that would be work was my happiness. Not that I don't love my family, and absolutely they came first, but I live for work because I just enjoyed what I did so much. And it was very easy to be 24/7, which I did, rightly or wrongly, building around my family as well, first and foremost. They came first. But yeah, work was my life, really. I always tried to keep fit when I was younger, fitter person. I had the pleasure of representing England in cross country, so I was a good runner.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
And whilst that fell away through as my career progressed, I always kept an eye on my health as the number one value, really. So watch what I ate, watch what I drank, and I always tried to keep relatively fit, albeit there's always room for more, I suppose, but I did keep a strong eye on that. So I guess I was in many ways, perhaps a classic chronic fatigue person who overdid it, overstretched, absolutely everything. I liken myself to Keith Richards, who's because of his drug use has lived several lives within his lifetime. I certainly haven't lived several lives. I've never done drugs, but I know I pushed so hard and worked so hard. I always used to get so much into my life that at some point in time he'd have to catch up with me, and he certainly did.
Yeah. And so what happened? Like, how did you get chronic fatigue syndrome? Like you were, obviously like flying around the world, busy father, husband, all that jazz. But like, where was the intersection?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a slightly interesting one, actually. It's a bit of an anomaly because I got glandular fever at the age of 52, which is not a normal thing. You usually catch it in your teens, in your early
Correct.
20s. Now, what transpired is I actually got chronic fatigue. I actually got glandular fever in my early 20s. I can now relate to getting a virus, which lasts probably about 4 or 5 days. I was really poorly with it, but then it left quite quickly. Thought nothing of it. But every 12 to 18 months, I would come down with a really bad virus and it put me in my bed for a week or something like that. So what I actually had at the age of 52 was secondary glandular fever,
Mm.
having caught it when I was young and in my 20s, and it reoccurred in a small way throughout my life. But it came back big time when I was 52. So that's a little bit strange for somebody of that age to get it. And the doctor did say, you're going to struggle with this because you're 52, and usually you get this awful illness when you're a young man or a younger person or a young
Mm.
lady.
Mm.
So it's going to take some time to recover, which was what was confusing initially before they diagnosed post-viral fatigue, because they thought it was just that I was taking time to recover because of my age. The good news about all that, having been diagnosed secondary glandular fever, or mono, as it's called in a certain part of the world. They now acknowledge that the virus, Epstein-Barr virus, is in my body. So I'm on medication now to prevent it ever from coming back.
Mm-hmm.
If this had happened years ago, I'd have been free of the virus, which used to hit me every 12 to 18 months and, let's say, put me in my bed for a week.
Mm.
So, you know what? I think it was Gemma, wasn't it, who taught us primary pain, secondary gain.
Mm-hmm.
So the primary pain was getting secondary glandular fever. The secondary gain is now on medication to prevent that's never going to happen again.
And so that kind of, you're obviously suffering from glandular fever for a period of time in your 50s. When did the doctor diagnose you with chronic fatigue syndrome after some time of experiencing that?
Yeah, I was really lucky actually, because my doctor fortunately has a friend who's got chronic fatigue, or a patient who's got chronic fatigue. Happens to be a friend as well. So she was on it straight away. I got sent for lots of tests, and they tested for everything when I wasn't recovering from the glandular fever. And very quickly, I think it was probably within about 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, it was right, okay, you're over your glandular fever. What you've got is post-trial fatigue. I remember it's like, it'll take 3 months to get over this. And that was pretty much it. So I was, I guess, again, very fortunate that early on I knew what the problem was, even though nobody really understood it and nobody really explained it. Especially here in the UK, it was limited as to what you can do and how you deal with it. And I distinctly remember we were 12 months in with having post-viral fatigue, and then I got sent to a specialist unit to get checked out, and they just confirmed, yeah, it is post-viral fatigue, but now we'll class it as chronic fatigue because you've had it for 12 months. And the lasting statement was, nothing we can do, thanks very much, goodbye. That was it then, and that's when I and my family started to investigate, okay, how do I deal with this?
How did you find that? Like, that just makes me so angry when I hear things like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. I mean, my wife had to take me at the time, and she was furious. So we'd spent a long time in the hospital and everything, having done all the tests, and she knew how poorly I was. So she was like, what do you mean that's it? You just can't kick us out. And that was it. And I was still, I'm a very glass half full person. So I just believe that, all right, I'll find a way out of this. There's a way, it's a solution, right? I'll just work hard on sleeping more and focusing on being as healthy as possible, and I'll find a solution for it. So it probably took me another 12 months before it finally hit me that, hang on a minute, my plan was to make a full recovery, to live the life I love. That's the line I had in my head whilst I was, effectively in bed for 24 months.
Wow.
It then hit me 2 years in that, actually, hang on a minute, this actually may be as good as it gets, and I may have to live with this for the rest of my life.
Wow.
So that's when I started to be a little bit more, okay, let's look into other things I should be doing, could be doing, which might help. And that's the backstory, really. Yeah, that's where it all.
Yeah, I had no idea that that's how bad it got as well, and I didn't know. I think someone like you're such a go-getter, so it makes sense to me that you're optimistic for yourself, but still, yeah, I can just imagine how infuriating that would have been, especially in the country that you live in. You'd think that there would be some practical help, which I know there isn't, because we help people in 60 countries, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Whole reason why I started this thing in the first place. Just before we move forwards, what were some of the symptoms you experienced at the start? Like, were you, when you said you're in bed, pretty much for 24 months straight, like what physical symptoms, what you're experiencing, brain fog?
Do you know what's really interesting?
Yeah.
The brain's very clever, isn't it? So it starts to forget or eliminate all the things in your life which are bad. So when I have to think about when I had chronic fatigue, what were my symptoms, I really have to think about it.
Yeah.
Whereas once upon a time, I could just reel them off because I had them every single day.
Exactly.
Whereas now it's like, oh, come, yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I was bedbound. I couldn't get out of bed. I could just about manage to get to the loo, and I couldn't shower. I had to use a flannel to clean myself. Really bad brain fog. That was just unbelievable. My tinnitus was unbearable. I couldn't stand noise. I couldn't stand smells. I couldn't stand light. I literally, standing was impossible. I had such a range of eclectic headaches. I remember I'd be popping ibuprofen and paracetamol every 2 hours just to
Wow.
keep the headache away, to allow me to rest. Slept so much. I guess I was one of the fortunate ones, as in I had sleep disruption, but not bad. I know when I was on the course, you tell people's experience where they
Sounds like you were in a heavy stage 1 acute stage of suffering where you're just so lethargic and exhausted, like your body.
Oh, absolutely. Heaven was just laying down, doing nothing, not being able to move. And
Yeah.
it's a strange feeling when you get up and you do something and then you lay back down again. The feeling of your body says, "Oh, thanks for doing that." It was just incredible. That's all I wanted to do was lay there.
Mm.
Yeah. So the first 2 years were pretty grim, pretty grim. But as I say, I was pretty much okay. Once or twice, it was a bit. This is a bit, what's going on here? But as I say, when I hit that 2 year period, I sort of created a metaphoric line. There was the right hand side of the line, which is the right place to be, and the left hand side of the place was the wrong place to be. And occasionally I'd drift over to the left hand side and have some pretty dark thoughts. But I knew when that was happening, I had to perhaps let it happen to a little bit and then snap myself out of it and get myself back into the right hand side by distracting myself or doing something.
And
And that's
what did the right hand side look like? Was there any particular thing? Because you hadn't joined the program at this stage, I'm assuming. Is that right? Yeah. So you're still suffering on your own. You got no practical help. You're just obviously very switched on kind of guy. So yeah, tell me like the left side, because this is brilliant. I love this.
the right hand side was just the positive me.
Yeah.
And dreaming of the future. So I had my vision of success, and okay, I'm corporately trained. Okay, so objective, vision, strategy. How are you going to get there? So at this point in time, yeah, I had certain pictures in my head. One was me having the motivation of motivating myself to get well by picturing being on the top of a mountain with my family to be able to ski down again. Or it was me being fit enough and getting well enough to be able to do a triathlon again.
Yeah.
Spring triathlon, not a long one. Okay, I'm giving that
Yeah.
up years ago. It was me walking back into my offices, be it in LA, Brazil, Mexico, anywhere around the world, Europe, and greeting all the people who I knew and worked with for many years. Those were the visions I had to keep myself motivated, and that worked pretty well. The hard thing was, things that come round, and I remember when I was on the course, we learned the joy of missing out rather than
Yeah.
FOMO. And it was the fear of missing out which used to take me on the wrong side, because I'd happily send my family off to events and things and I could never go. And I knew they felt bad leaving me, but there's no point in them staying at home with me because I'm just in bed doing nothing. So why spoil their lives? You had to go. So there's one or two occasions when it's like, this is hard. This is really hard. Christmas, New Year, things like that. Those were the reasons what caused it. But as I say, I could always go, right, okay, where's my vision? Let's look at my vision. Let's focus on, what it's going to be like one day. And that kept me
Alive.
in a positive way and helped. Alive. Yeah, no, it did. It did. I never got to the point where anything really dark crept in.
Yeah.
I may have had those thoughts once or twice, but I'm just not brave enough to go there. And I've got children, so it's never going to happen from that point of view.
No. I mean, you're a strong kind of guy, obviously, as well. All right, far out. This is so insightful already. I haven't even got into it. This is so good.
So as I said earlier, right, my online delivery's just rolled up on the drop. So I'm really sorry.
Okay, so go get your online delivery. Get your on delivery. I'm gonna keep talking and come back.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Brett. I'm really sorry.
Andrew's wife just ducked out to go do something, and there's a dog, and there's an online delivery person coming. And Andrew said before the interview, he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but my wife's gone out." And I'm like, "Don't worry, it's totally fine. We can work around the delivery guy." So, man, Andrew's story is just incredible. I'm not surprised that his mindset was like this before he joined the program, because he did so well when he joined the program. And he sounds like he started the program already in a good positive mindset and mind frame of of red line, green line. Red line being like putting yourself down, self-sabotaging, getting in your own way of recovery. And green line is on the line of success of where you want to go. And it makes total sense to me now. I've never chatted to Andrew about this, obviously. This is the first time he's sharing this, but it makes sense to me of why he was able to kind of, when he joined the program, he got going and things kind of were a bit smoother than most people, because he was already in a good place mentally to start with. And this isn't to say that chronic fatigue syndrome is all in your head. It just means that when you're starting from a good place mentally, like doing the physical things is a lot easier than dragging your feet and like being in that red zone or dark zone where, it's just like hard to do anything, basically. All sorted, Andrew? Awesome.
Good, thank you. Apologies.
All good. So, okay. So after those 2 years of suffering and basically being in bed the whole time, how did you get the right help? Were you searching on on YouTube and Google, or like how did you navigate trying to find the right help? Did you try a million different things like most people?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I was fortunate to a degree I was still employed. The insurance company, which was paying my salary, gave me what they class as a rehabilitation coach. And the idea is get me better as soon as possible, so they have to stop paying my salary and I get back to work. To be fair, she was brilliant at doing a lot of research and sending me everything, which I between myself and my wife and my family, we read and understood and created a plan of sorts. But I do remember thinking, God, I wish I knew somebody who could talk me through this a little bit more experienced, just to make sure what I'm doing is the right thing rather than just trying to figure it all out. And then I went down the nutrition route, and I had a nutrition coach who was brilliant at making sure I was eating all the right foods, which I pretty much was actually as best I could. But also then I was spending a fortune on supplements, which I probably did for about 18 months, 2 years. And that achieved nothing other than a huge dent in my bank account. It didn't help. But having said that, I was doing so many things as well. So there was something called the lightning process, which I don't know whether you've heard about or not, which I tried. Again, it cost a lot of money. Didn't really help, other than it's based on NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which I knew from my business world. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much what I was doing anyway to a degree. So that perhaps helped a little bit because it reaffirmed the positivity of affirmation. But it didn't help in other ways because that was all about believing you can do it, picturing being successful and pushing and pushing and pushing, which obviously caused a crash. So, I was also started seeing a lady who was a holistic practitioner. So she helped with the meditation, a bit of yoga, because at that point, because I'd been laying down so much, I was in so much pain with the back and things. Oh, yeah. So I started to piece all these things together, which helped and was moving me in a direction, which was slowly getting better. But that took me to a point where I could do a lot more in comparison to being in bed. I was able to do things, but I was constantly boom and bust, overdoing things, crashing, feeling like I was getting in the right direction, and I'd get a cold or something and take myself away back again, or I'd go and do something which would cause me to crash and put me back in bed for a week or a month or whatever. So I was in that zone of, I think also I got to a point where I really didn't care anymore. I knew that I could get myself to a certain level of wellness. And then I think, right, I'm going to do some life. And by going and doing life then...
Right, I see. Yeah, careless, kind of reckless.
Yeah, exactly. Reckless is exactly what it was.
Yeah, from frustration probably, really.
Yeah, it is what it is. I didn't really know any more than what I know, other than we got into something, we discovered things which were helping and therefore getting me to a certain place. But that's where I was, in a bit of a merry-go-round. And I guess that's where I stayed until I joined you guys, CFS Health. And I remember we'd been away on holiday and we're in the UK. It was just after the pandemic. We went away with my children. One child had just had his second COVID injection and he was really struggling with that. He was quite poorly whilst we were away. My other child at the same time got mumps. So she was pretty ill. So they wanted to do nothing other than sit on the beach all day.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate that we were down in Cornwall, beautiful beach right by the house where we were staying. So all we did every day was literally get up, sit on the beach, enjoy the sun, go home.
Mm.
And as we were traveling back, my wife said, you've cooked really well this week. And I thought, yeah, you're right, I have. And the reason why I've cooked really well this week is because actually all I've done is sit on the beach all day and be with my family. And yeah, I've done some walking and things, but nothing major.
Mm.
So that's when the penny dropped. My baseline is wrong, and I'm not being disciplined with myself enough. And that's when I met you guys.
How did you find CFS Health? Where did you find it? Was it searching or?
Yeah, you popped up actually on something. So there's somebody in the UK called Dr. Sarah Mayhill.
Yeah.
Who's a chronic fatigue specialist, and
Yeah.
she's written a book which somebody had bought me. Cracky blind me, it's 500 pages of really detailed stuff.
Heavy. She's funny. I like that. She's good. She's very passionate.
I couldn't deal with that. But she also had an online site. So as I signed up for an online site, there must have been some sort of clever link which brought me into CFS Health.
Wow.
And I found you, which I think took me through to YouTube, and I saw some of the videos you posted there. And that was it. That was absolutely it. And for the first time, I thought, this may be somebody who allows me to understand it better and just give me some direction as to all the things I'm trying to do. Are they right? Are they wrong?
Yeah.
So that was the start point.
Were you skeptical before you joined the program, even though, obviously the penny dropped and you were like, oh, this makes total sense. But were you like, oh, is this just another thing to try, or was it different?
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. I was probably getting to that stage where I was running out of things to try. I like to have a menu of all the things I could look to do, and I'd exhausted anything. And the only thing there was two things I hadn't done, which are still on my list. One was acupuncture, and the other one was cranial osteopathy. But this came along, so I joined up. Yeah, no, I was very optimistic, because I think I really liked the video I saw of you talking. I think from memory, I think you might have been in France and you were by a pool and you were just giving an update on something. You must have been on vacation or something.
Yeah, I was working with a client over there. Yeah.
Yeah, something just clicked. And I thought, you know what? I'll give this a try. Why not? There's so many other things I've tried. It's just another thing. I always, even though there was a cost against it, everything there was a cost against it I was doing, I just saw it as an investment. As an investment in my health and trying to get better. So, yeah, no, I think with what I was perhaps fortunate that what I discovered just really clicked with me. So I was excited about it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Did the 2-week program, I think, is it the baseline 2-week?
I was just thinking like I think the reason why you transitioned into the program really well is because like your mindset was so good before you even joined, which I didn't know, obviously. Like I didn't have a full transparent understanding of like what you'd been through, the optimism that you had, the visions that you're already seeing and thinking and feeling about. It was just that you didn't have the right plan,
Yeah.
And so when you got the plan, it just all made sense and you were able to do it. Now, that doesn't mean it happened overnight. It doesn't mean there weren't ups and downs. Like, I think how long were you in the program for?
Can't even 12 months.
12 months, yeah. So,
yeah.
It's the right amount of time to get really good physical change, provided you're consistent and doing the work. So what was it like when you joined the program? Obviously, there's a million different things that can help you through that. But for you, what stood out the most? Like, I know you mentioned the Gemma stuff before, and we can talk about mindset later, but what was the first thing that you implemented that was a game changer for you?
So the first thing I implemented was...
Where's this smile coming from?
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. It's very first of all, and we touched very briefly on baseline, and I sat up thinking, great, okay, here we go, this is what I want to know. And you simply said, whatever you're doing, just half it. And I thought, really? Is that it? Is that it?
You're like, what? What am I paying for?
So I did, right? I just halved everything I was doing. And at the time, we recently got a dog to help me, and I could take the dog for a walk, because that was what I was able to do. So I just simply halved the amount of time I took the dog out. I halved everything I did around the house. I suppose hand in hand with that was the learning to ask for more help. Just asking for more help, reducing the general activity. So within certainly 7 days, if not 2 weeks, I remember thinking, crikey, I felt so good that if I can improve this much again with in just 2 weeks, really onto something here.
Mm.
And I think then I got to a point where the difference was so great. And, I thought, even if this is the level I'm at, it's so good now versus where it was.
Wow.
I'd be happy with this. Yeah. So
I think I remember that
yeah,
actually. Yeah, I remember you thinking that, and I'm always like, no, 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 don't settle. Like, don't
yeah,
get too comfortable because there's always more to improve. But yeah, that's cool. And like, just for reference for people at home, you might be thinking, like, what? How does that work? Why would you halve everything? So we have a rule of thumb, especially the initial framework of baseline, is just to stop the push and crash cycle. Like, we've just got to stop that first before we even think about progress. But what Andrew did perfectly was basically reduce the daily load he was placing on his body. But that didn't mean you stopped doing everything. It was about being consistent with what you could do every single day, not just like once a week. And so that's where you were able to feel good because you were able to do everything that you wanted to do at the reduced rate that was appropriate for you, which made you feel good because you could do it and it wasn't bad for you. You know, it wasn't having a negative deficit in your energy levels or your health. And you know, just for reference for everybody, this is just an initial protocol. It's not forever. Like, you can't, how do you progress if you stay like that doing that forever? You can't. And so just FYI, because I see it on the internet, so many people are like, but I'm doing what Toby's telling me and it's not working. It's like, no, you're not doing, you can't just get one bit of context and make that your life's, like, you know, it doesn't work like that. And so it's just an initial protocol to stop these crazy ups and downs so then we can make progress. So, I mean, it's so cool though, like the fact that you saw that initial change pretty fast.
yeah, definitely.
Was there a mindset shift? Because that's, you know, I think one of the hardest things for most people is like, they're like, I can't do less. You know what I mean? It's like hurts the ego, or I can't not go to the gym. I can't not go push myself. Like, was there a bit of a challenge there for you, or were you able to accept that pretty quick?
Fortunately, I was able to accept that pretty quick, but I think it was because prior to joining CFS Health, I'd been in that zone for so long where I wouldn't have been ready for making it. And my wife quite often points out to me that things work because I was ready for them to work, be that either physically or mentally. So I literally took everything literally and did what I was told to do, right? Literally. And yeah, so I'm not saying there weren't days when I was like, oh,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're human.
just gotta get out. Four wall syndrome. I just, especially in the winter when it's dark and wet and you're stuck in the house. Yeah. But no, pretty much I was an excellent student.
You were an excellent student. I loved working with you. It was fun, especially in lifestyle
Yeah.
integration when you started really, you know, kicking goals. Yeah. Do you have any advice? Like, because I feel like a lot of people just struggle with that acceptance bit, you know, initially. Like, you had a great breakthrough early on, but it was purely just because you accepted where you're at and you got on with it. And most people, like, we say acceptance is the start of your recovery, not the end. Whereas most people think accepting it is the end. It's like, no, it's like, it's the total opposite.
Yeah, no. I think I also remember very early on that I listened to a lady who was probably similar age to myself. And I think she said, I can't remember her name, but I remember her saying something like, these aren't the words, ignore time. Just
Yeah.
ignore time.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Time.
when you join, there's so much there. And she said, it can appear to be overwhelming. Don't just take your time and gently go through the things you want to go through.
This is a person who did our program, was it? Someone.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
early on, I watched one of the podcasts. I think it was a podcast. Yeah, it
Yeah, cool.
wasn't live. It was a
Interview.
podcast one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the two pieces of advice which stuck, and I think were really beneficial at that point of my joining. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that just helped me to think, okay, so if I ignore time, we've got a long way to go here. And then if I look at all this stuff, it is overwhelming. But if I don't try and do it all today, and I think I made a rule, then I might look at one thing a day just to not become overwhelmed, and just that way I probably learned more as well, because I could just, that's it for today, leave it at that. And then all of a sudden after a week's gone by and taking that approach, and you look the mentality of looking back as to what's changed over these last month, or for me as it was last week. I suddenly thought, all right, I've learned lots here, and I'm not overwhelmed, and I'm ignoring time. So yeah, to answer your question, it just naturally came to me rather
Yeah.
than me trying to find it.
Well, you
Yeah.
didn't fight it either. Shout out to the lady who did that interview. I don't know who it was. So if you're watching this, if you're watching this, big shout out to you. Ignore time. And I love that because in your mind initially when you're thinking you're like, oh, it might take a while, but actually that sped up your recovery if you think about
Yeah.
it. Because you're not putting time pressure on you, which you don't need any more ridiculous stress. So it's so fascinating. It's like we literally did a training together with all our members today on how to use the program properly so you can get the most out of it. And one of the key concepts was ignoring time. Drop the clock, we say.
Yeah.
The clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. It
Yeah.
really is hard
Yeah.
to do. It's one of those easier said than done. But and in my mind now, I'm 59 now, and I see how quickly time slips through your fingers. I've got one son who's now left home. My daughter's in the last year of university, and all of a sudden you think, crikey, funny old thing, life. And it slips through your fingers, and before you know it, and I'm 60 next year, and you think, crikey. Mentally, I still think I'm 25, okay?
I think you are as well. I think you're very sharp.
That's part of my problem. It's time, ignoring time is like, it probably gets harder to do as you get older as well, actually.
But I feel like the fastest way to success in any area of life is to ignore time. Like the pianist doesn't look at his clock every time he plays the piano and goes, why aren't I there yet? Like, why aren't I the best in the world yet? Like they just play and play and play and play and play, and eventually they end up being the best or the soccer player. I just don't think nothing great happens by putting that clock on top of your head. Like I don't think it breeds success personally. Goals and objectives are great, and intentions, we're big on that. But I don't know. There's this thing, I don't know why, but the secret sauce is to not ask or constantly think about how long it's going to take is one of the key cornerstones to recovery or to success in general.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not wasting time thinking about it. You're just doing what you have to do. Interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Completely agree.
So okay, so that's really good, Pete. I love that. I love the ignored time piece and just do what's appropriate for you. What else did you find helpful for you in the program specifically? Because everyone's different.
Everyone's different, and I think two things for me. And I remember thinking this, I was going through the course. Some of the one-liners and little anecdotal things, like you just said, then stop the clock. Yeah. They always felt appropriate, or I could relate to them at some part of wherever I was in my journey.
This is on a coaching call, kind of coaching call.
On a coaching call, or stuff I was reading, or some of the history stuff which was there. I just found little snippets which were so helpful, and I remember thinking, I must remember that when I'm better. That was the one thing, but there were so many of them. But the second thing, and this is the main thing for me, what got me to where I am now is it was my routine, and within routine, I capture everything, right? And as we talked earlier, I've been given advice as to what you need to do to get ready to get well from chronic fatigue, but in a way which was, here's a piece of information, here's a book, here's a website, here's something you can listen to. And I took all this information in and then tried to make head and tail of it. And I used to explain to my friends when they saw me getting better, and I was trying to explain what CFS Health had done for me. As I said, it's like trying to make a cake, and you've got some of the ingredients, but you haven't got all the ingredients. And then the ingredients you get, you put them together in the wrong order and try to make.
You make a really bad cake.
You end up with a bit of a mess. Yeah. Right? That's what I was doing before I joined CFS Health.
What a metaphor.
What I did then was, by getting that routine in order for every single day, and again, being incredibly disciplined with it, and doing the hard work, as you guys call it. And so I would religiously go to bed at 10 o'clock. I would lights out, nothing else in my bedroom. I'd be out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning regardless. Pint of water. 20 minutes later, I'd have my breakfast, healthy breakfast as best I could. Then I'd get myself ready. I'd take my dog for a walk. I'd come back. I'd meditate and do whatever was decided I was
at the
for
time.
that day.
Exactly.
I'd eat at 12:30, and if I needed to sleep, and in those days I did, I'd make sure I slept before 1 o'clock, and instantly, by getting the routine in place and sticking to it, my sleep started to reduce, which was another positive sign.
Because you were sleeping crazy, like you were sleeping a lot before you did the program. You were sleeping a lot, but then during the day, those were getting.
Yeah, I was sleeping up to 2 hours a day, whenever as well. So
yeah,
just sleep whenever. So the routine would be, if I needed to sleep, I'd go and rest, maybe 11 o'clock, something like that. So if I did fall asleep, then it'd be early enough in the day to allow myself to be tired in the evening. So I ate at the right time, the same time every day. I put energy into my body at the same time every day. And, I got the discipline to, if I was preparing food, I'd sit preparing food, so I wouldn't be overdoing it to the end. I didn't always get it right. Okay, it sounds like it's easy. It's not. And then I'd be in bed by 10 o'clock again, regardless. And that was the routine which I stuck to relentlessly for 12 months, and little by little.
Yeah, little by little.
Little by little. And, you don't notice it. It's only then when you do the month call, you go, right, look back. What have you done? And, you jot down and you think, oh, cracky blimey, there's some good stuff there. And it's that moment in time. So the routine is, it's one word which encompasses absolutely everything I learned and took on board, which 100% got me from where I was prior to joining CFS Health to being where I am now.
I want to intervene a little bit because the word routine is just, it's a shit word, really. It's like, routine. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's not a fun word. Like, it's none of us want to hear about it. But like what you're I want to break it down for people because I think this is important for a little bit of context. So when Andrew is saying like routine, and he's just shared one of his many routines with you throughout 12 months of work, this is really important to understand, because the routine he started to do when he first joined the program is very, very different to the routine he had when he was 12 months in, right? In terms of progress, in terms of the capacity output, in terms of what you were doing and achieving in your life and in your world. A lot of that stuff at the, let's say, 9 month, 11th month, whatever, you couldn't do in month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it was one of those things that you had to build up. And so I just want people at home to know that there's nuance to routine that's so overlooked with so many people. Probably you're listening to this right now suffering and struggling with this, that you don't have the right routine for you and you're not sticking to exactly what's appropriate for you. Maybe you don't even have a routine at all. Maybe you don't have a morning routine. Maybe you don't have a during the day routine, and energy in activities, energy out activities. You might not have your sleep dialed in throughout the day and night. All of this affects everything. And I just think I wanted to break that down just a little bit, just in case people are like, so it's that easy. It's just routine. It's like, no, it's actually really complicated. It's actually really, really, what it is, it sounds so simple that it sounds almost too easy, but it's not easy. Simple doesn't mean easy. And I think that's where people get it wrong, is like, simple doesn't mean easy. Simple is usually it's the hard stuff like this, to get that nuanced discipline on what is working and holding that fort down and being consistent with that.
100%. And I've made it sound very easy, but no, yeah, you're right. I remember, what's the word? It was curious.
Curious mindset, yeah.
When it wasn't going right, okay, so that isn't working. What can we change?
Yeah.
And that was part of the discipline as well, to get it right, because it didn't always go right. Absolutely, it didn't always go right. But it was then having it doesn't matter. Let's just be curious about what I could do to make it go right, and what did I do wrong, or nodding my
Can you
body things
fix?
like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
And we just kept tweaking things and playing around, and yeah, it just gradually fell into place again. So I have simplified it, and it wasn't that easy, and it is easy to say. And I listened to you just summarize that. I do recall you actually saying, yeah, it's easier said than done. It's so simple, but it's
Yeah,
actually,
it's simple.
for me, it was the most important thing, and probably, yeah, the hardest thing to figure out what was right for me, to find what was the right setup to allow my body to recover.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned that routine was the biggest thing for you, because I personally, like, you're preaching to the choir here. Like, I think it's so vital. And if you think about it, like, if you don't plan your day or have intentions for your day plans you. Anyone have those days where you got nothing, you don't have an idea of what you're going to do. You're just going to wake up and see what happens, and then the whole day goes by, and you're like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think it's so good. It's so cool that you mentioned routine as your number one thing. Obviously, baseline was tied into that, but it's so under talked about in the world of recovery. And I think personally that it's the reason why people get better, is because it's not the routine. It's not routine that is what gets you better. It's everything that you do in that routine that gets you better.
Absolutely. That's the point I'm trying to make. So I summarize it, executive summary, with a bad word, but it is everything within that.
No,
And
we
that's
need to
what's
make
interesting.
routine sexy again. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's get a thesaurus out and look for a better word than routine.
Yeah.
And actually, what's interesting, I joined CFS thinking it was just my baseline, which was wrong.
Yeah,
It
everyone
wasn't.
does this.
That was just part of it. There's far more.
There's so much more.
Um,
People do that all the time. They're like, I just need my baseline. And this is a lot of people will email us, say, I just want to do the movement part of your program, or I just need the nutrition. And it's like, you don't understand it until, like, why we can't do that for you, because we're going to fail you if you just think it's one thing.
yeah, yeah. No, it's a big jigsaw. You've got to put it together in the right order, otherwise the picture doesn't come together.
What was it like? I was, with those. So every month we would do a win the month planning call, and you were very dedicated to them. I know we did a bunch together, and so we'd jump on a call with a bunch of other members, and we'd talk about what worked, what didn't work, and you get to mastermind with other members who were on the recovery journey, so you could share wisdom and insights and all that. And I got two questions. One, like, what was that process like for you? Did that help you with your recovery? Obviously, it's super unique, and not a lot of people ever experience anything like that. But did that help? You said you looked back. We would look back every month to see your progress and kind of keep you accountable that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think some of those breakout groups they're invaluable, really, because I mean, first of all, you start to bond with people who you don't know, but you have so much in common.
Yeah.
So there's automatically a friendship, and now I'm still in,
I
Sue, I'm
see
still
that. Yeah.
Michelle, I'm still close to, several others as well, and we're friends offline and we check in on each other. So, they start to build those bonds and things. But then you learn so much from other people. Oh, you take what they've experienced, you think that's good. And I remember I was sharing one thing which I'd done, which I was so proud about, because I hate this, but I can't think of a better word of saying. I was the alpha male. I came from a very aggressive business world. I was, I always work with strong colleagues.
Yeah.
We had a get together, which I was well enough to go to, but I had to tell these guys that things were different.
Mm-hmm.
So before we met, I sent them all a text saying, okay, this is me now. This is what I need to do. I don't drink, so don't buy me any alcohol. I want to eat with you guys, but if we're eating, we need to eat at 6 o'clock, and I'll be in bed by 10. Now, to send that message to those people, right, given the world we knew each other in, which was a cutthroat business world, and they were people who I knew, these people I knew from 20, 30 years ago, we were all very career-minded and career-driven. It was a hard thing to do, but it was the best thing I did, because the minute I got there, somebody got me a herbal tea. We went and ate early. They put me in a taxi back from the restaurant to the hotel, and it was that point about learning and asking for help.
Yeah.
So I asked for help, and I remember I shared it in one of those that environment, And it felt great for me because I'd done something which really worked. I picked up on it from somebody else's conversations about their
Boundaries,
management.
expressing yourself. Yep.
Correct. Yeah, managing the boundaries, managing expectations. So that was something I took from one of those breakout groups. I then used myself and it really worked. And I learned to do more of it, even just at home. If I was just, for example, trying to cook something, I'd say, guys, I can't do it tonight. Can somebody else do it? Or I am going to do this, but you need to pass me a stool because I need to sit while I'm doing it. And just asking for help a little bit more. So they were great. They were invaluable. So, yeah, that's just one example of what I remember and the friendships which came from it as well. That's still there today. So,
so good.
yeah, no, they're good. They're good.
So I love them. I do remember that call actually. You've done lots of shares over over that time. What was it like? As you progressed physically, mentally, all that jazz. What was it like kind of in the later months? Month 9, month 10, as you were integrating back into life. You joined our up level program, lifestyle integration, where we help you kind of navigating life. But yeah, what was it like coming from like struggle street to like getting to that level of like just more life and ease and thinking about jobs and all that jazz?
Yeah, and I think what was interesting thing about that point is I started to get so many ideas and
Yes, that's right. I remember that.
well, you take the lid off a can of worm, lid on there, everything comes screaming out, or it's Pandora's box, and you have the opportunity to like, crikey, blimey, what am I going to do now? So I've just tried to sit in a different way. Pull the muscle in my hamstrings and it's got cramp. And suddenly got rid of that. So yeah, it was just fascinating, absolutely fascinating, and I think I'm still in an interesting place there actually. And I guess just to summarise, I'm no longer now employed. I've accepted a settlement from the insurance company, which means I'm done work-wise. I'm effectively retired at the age of 59, which is I'm still figuring out.
Yeah. I mean, I remember just talking to you when we were in lifestyle integration on a coaching call. You had all these business ideas, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do that. Maybe I can just retire for a little bit and I can work later if I want to. I've got, you've got a million different contacts in your world. So the world's kind of your oyster, but I love that struggle of the Pandora's. Like, once you started getting better, I was like, oh my God, there's so many opportunities. For me, you sound like a really methodical type of person who thinks things through. And I love that about you. I think it's such a good trait to have.
Yeah, I remember I came up with 3 goals actually. The first was to get fit, and where I am on that is that's excellent work in progress now.
Yeah.
So I'm in the gym 3 or 4 times a week.
You're about to go to your first spin class today. You said off
air. Yeah, I know. That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so good. I love it. Like it's so good. It's like you're 59 and it's the first spin class you've ever done. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean that's it's the winter now here in the UK, right? So it's too cold to be out on my bike. In the summer I was out on my bike, which I love. Yeah. Gyms I'm not a big fan of, I never have been, but hey, it's the winter now, so I'd rather be in the gym than out on my bike. And so yeah, the fitness thing is just amazing. And I guess there's 2 sides to that. You're right, I am very methodical, and there's 2 reasons for doing the gym. First of all, very briefly, completely out of the blue, I had a heart attack in May, which has everybody scratching their heads. So I've not got cardiac history in my family. I've never done drugs. I've never smoked. Social drinker, relatively fit, BMI great, cardiac okay. Cholesterol okay. So it's just an anomaly. But as part of that, the big part of recovery there is fitness and whatever, which is me to a T. Love it. So all that's sorted now, but it also duffed quite nicely into that number 1 objective of getting fit, because not only am I getting fit after my chronic fatigue, I'm getting fit after having 2 stents fitted in my heart, which just allows me to go from strength to strength. And I realise how much strength I've lost from having 2 years in bed and being very limited to what I could do.
Yeah.
Ticking a big box of increasing my core strength, if you like, which I class as, recovery from chronic fatigue, recovering from a heart attack, but also its preparation for the future years. If I am approaching 60 now, it means that my health is going to be better than what it ever would have been if I'd been still in the corporate world, because I'm physically so much stronger.
Yeah.
So I think I summarized by saying, okay, I want to get fit. I want to be able to run 5K. I've had to park the running because at my age, my knees don't like it, my ankles don't like it. It's not a problem from a heart point of view or a chronic fatigue point of view. I can run, but it's my body saying, running's not the right thing.
Yeah.
Hence
High
the reason
impact.
why
High
I'm
impact.
going cycling tonight. So that was the first objective which we came up with. The second one was to release myself from the corporate world. And I said I gained agreement with my employer back in January this year. So I'm now in a situation where financially we're okay. Not as well as we would have been, okay, if I'd been in the corporate world still and what I was earning and everything. But that's okay. I don't care about that anymore. We're still in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
That allows me then to do whatever I want. And that's the piece I'm still figuring out. I did plan to do voluntary work in the autumn.
Yes.
But because I'm so wrapped up in getting my fitness to where I want to be, I park that until the new year and the spring, because then I'll be 6 months into what will be an active physical program. And in my mind, I want to be as strong as I was when I was 18. Not necessarily as fit, because when you're 18, you can actually get very fit.
Yeah.
But my core body strength, I want to be the same as what it was when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst I said I didn't like gym, I'm actually motivated by the gym when I see what other people are doing there.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like motivation. Think, right, okay, get your finger out, get on with it, gently catch your monkey, and come April next year, I'm going to be able to lift a lot more, push a lot more weight than what I'm going to be able to do, and my core's going to be where I want it to be, and then my health's in good shape, so I can live a long, healthy life.
Did you go through our movement mastery program with Steph? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you recondition your body throughout the program to be able to get you to the gym nowadays.
100%. Yeah. No, Steph was brilliant. And you know what? There are still days now where I do stretching and just gentle stuff. And I've forgotten about that actually. Yeah, that was the key way of getting energy into my body. Now I don't have to do that anymore.
No.
I don't have to do it anymore, but I still do things I learned.
Yes.
My back's still a bit tight in certain things. So I do things. Actually, one thing I do want to say, and this is my message to the world actually around the heart attack. I completely misunderstood the symptoms I was getting, which was just mild discomfort in my chest. Now, I knew something was wrong, but I did nothing about it.
Wow.
I sort of self-diagnosed and thought, is it chest cold? I've got something going on. It doesn't feel quite right. The thing I should have done, and in the UK we have something called a triage number you call. If I called 111 and said, right, I've got this feeling in my chest, it doesn't quite feel like anything, I can't really put my finger on it, they instantly would have said, get to hospital.
Wow.
And that prevented having a heart attack. So I'm cross with myself because as a semi-educated human being,
stubborn.
I ignored it. I was stubborn. I thought I'd be fine and go away. It's cold. It was wrong, and it didn't feel like a cold. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't listen to my body, and I was stupid. But I can understand why, because you expect to get certain symptoms, and they were just different for me. And the same way chronic fatigue is different for everybody. What I had was angina, but my angina was personal to me, which would be different from other people as well. So if you ever get any chest feeling in your chest which you're not quite sure about, just call.
Interesting. Maybe that's your calling. Maybe there's things happen, to in the years to come. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and this is where I still need to figure out what it is. But it comes the spring next year when I've got more time again. Then I think it's how do I give back from a health point of view?
Yeah, totally. I can see that.
I've had the experience of being there myself now, so
yeah,
that would make, hopefully that would make a difference to, if it makes a difference to one person, then
dude, it will for sure. Amazing. Man, you got your life back. You're going to your first spin class. You're gymming. You're pushing these young bucks out of the way. These 18-year-old kids, get out of the way. Give me the weight. But what I love the most, man, is just like how adaptable you've been over this period. And personally, like, I think one of the things that I want to give you credit for is your learner's mindset. Like, you're a successful guy. You've traveled the world. You've worked in big corporate. You work with smart people. Yet you still came into this program and you had a totally open learner's mindset. And I think that allowed you to really not have to butt against the information that you were getting, to then just take it on and apply it in your life. And the world's been your oyster because of that. 2 questions before we go. And again, thank you so much. This has been absolute gold. And I actually can't wait to see what you do. We're going to stay in contact.
Yeah, we will. Absolutely.
I want to help. I want to help you do whatever you want to do, help you with your dream as well. 2 things. One, there's heaps of people who are watching this right now who are I need to join the program, but it costs money. Is it worth it? What if I fail? I've tried a million different things. They're all saying that. You've been through that yourself. What would you say to those people?
Just do it. Just do it. Simple as that. Crikey blimey, if I hadn't joined CFS Health, I'd have still been in the same place. Yeah, I didn't know. I had a lot of the information, but as I say, I just wasn't using it properly because I didn't know how to. And there's no other manual out there, right? And 2 things I really like about CFS Health, first and foremost, is it's put together, right? So you've learned little snippets, but you get given a program which says, this is a way of doing things. Try it, and if it doesn't work, try it again. If it doesn't work, try it again, and then there's help and advice to help you on the way. So it's a program which has really been thought through for every element, be it physical, be it mental, be it emotional. There's another one as well, usually.
Spiritual, yeah.
Thank you. It's all there, and some of the emotional stuff, I came to it a little bit too late, but God, I wish I had it when I was 2 years in to have Gemma's knowledge and wisdom and things like that. It would have been a massive help for me, but at the time, I joined too late from that point of view. But it's the only thing I've come across as to which really encapsulates everything about this bloody horrible illness. So without a shadow of a doubt, you're leading the way worldwide with everything which I've looked to do and my family looked to do to try and make it happen. And the second thing is it's how you do it. So I can tell from my commercial world that you all spend a lot of time making sure that you coach. And there's a big difference between, managing and coaching, and the way you coach people within the program and allow them to, because they have to figure it out themselves. It's not as simple as get up at 7 o'clock, drink water, eat breakfast. People have to work out what is right for them. So your coaching style and your coaching technique, I reckon that you as a leader have put a lot of time and energy into the people who you work with to make sure they know how to go about doing this and help people. And, I take the hat off that to that and congratulate you for you doing it as well. You do a super, super job at that. So yeah, it's in summary to that is the program is very well thought through, and the way you deliver it is the best it possibly could be. So for anybody who is thinking of joining, those are the 2 reasons why I would say without a shadow of a doubt, just do it.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. We put in, as you know, we put in a lot of time and energy, and the team care. At the end of the day, like we just care about the people, and we pride ourselves on being the most comprehensive program in the world. And it's nice to hear that from, a client who's been through it and done it, especially at your caliber, who's seen a lot of things in the world and done a lot of great things too. Lastly, there's some people who can't afford help at all and might not be able to afford help ever. And also there's people who aren't ready yet to do a program. That's totally fine. Just like any departing wisdom that you'd just like to share to the world. Obviously, you shared the heart stuff, which is really brilliant. Guys, if you're feeling anything in the chest, do what Andrew said, go and get checked. But, for anyone who's struggling at home today, Andrew, just listening to your story and being inspired by what you've done with your life, what would you like to it's your last little message to everyone? You can take a moment, by the way, have a breath.
Yeah, nice. Again, this is just perhaps the type of person I am, but, you just believe. Simple as that. Just believe. Never stop. You just, it's a used saying, but if it happens for me, it happens to me, it can happen for anybody. And I just never ever stopped believing that I was going to get well. A bit of an anthem for me is a song by Journey, which was popular back in the 80s when I was doing my A-levels. here in the UK, and it was "Don't Stop Believing." It's a Journey song. So that's always been a bit of an anthem in my life. Whenever I've had a challenge, I've used it. So, I play that from time to time, and funny enough, a number of people they'd use that as an example to help me on my way. Here's a song, keep playing this to yourself so you keep believing. So yeah, just never stop believing that you can't get well, because you can. You absolutely can. So yeah, I guess, I think, to answer your question, just your self belief system, just simply
Beautiful. You are a breath of fresh air. Seriously, I know you want to be as strong as you are 18, but you're as youthful as 18 as well. Honestly, it's been so refreshing to talk to you tonight. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, from everyone at CFS Health, and also around the world, people who are watching this and touched by your story. Appreciate you, Andrew.
Yeah, no, well, thank you to you, Erin, Steph, Gemma. You're a big, considering it's all online, you've become a big part of my life, and I still think every day about things which came up and things I learned and what have you. And it isn't over, actually. I don't think it is, because there's still a little bit about what's next for me.
Yeah, lifestyle integration wise, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm excited for it.
I'm gonna get through we head off to the US in a week's time. My son's working out in Miami, so we head off to him in December. So December's pretty much gone, but come the new year and my fitness is good, I think I need to join the integration program again, because again, there's too many thoughts. I keep do this, do that.
Dude, I'd love to help you with your dream. I mean,
So
we spoke about that
always-
almost 6 months ago, but
yeah.
when the time's right, I think you clearly, and I think everyone would agree with me here, that you've clearly got something to give. So let's chat. Let's chat in.
Yeah. No, definitely. I need help. So, as I say, the coaching again, it's that's coaching me to where it is whatever I want to get to.
This is the fun part, though. You get to choose what you want to do. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, the not so fun coaching is when you don't have a choice and you got to get out of it. So yeah, this is the fun stuff now. So yeah, go and enjoy your spin class. Great to chat. We'll speak to you soon. See you, legend.
Thanks, Toby.
Thanks, man.
Take care. All the best.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Hey, I hope this video was really helpful for you. If you haven't already, please hit the like button and feel free to leave a comment. What was your takeaway, your insight from today's video? It's really helpful to actually write your learnings down. We seem to embed it better, and it seems to help us move forwards with life. Here are 3 ways we can help you right now whenever you're ready. The first way is make sure you add yourself into our free information recovery group on Facebook. We'll leave a link in the description below. It's a really supportive, encouraging place. There's no negative venting. You can ask questions to other people. There's something like 8,000 people in there right now. And I'm sure by the time you're watching this video, there's even more. So go over there right now. We share success stories. We share our latest free trainings that come to the public. And we always share upcoming information about upgrades inside our program. And also when we offer free webinars or free information nights that can further help you with your own recovery. The second way we can help you, which is one of my favorite, is through all our free trainings. We're going to leave a link in the description with our favorite free trainings that we know can help you start your recovery, whether that's through our baseline training, which will help you stop pushing and crashing, our 3 stages of recovery to figure out exactly where you're at and know what to do next, or my favorite, which is our guest panel workshop, which was actually exclusive for our members. It was so damn good that I actually asked them, can we share this to the public? They all said yes, all 5 of them. So thank you, past members. They share their 5 recovery secrets, and it's really powerful. There's tears, there's aha moments, there's real key insight and inspiration. And so whether you're a 1 out of 10 and you're really struggling right now, or whether you're further along in your recovery journey and you're integrating back into life, we have you covered. The third way we can help you is through our actual paid online recovery program, the Mentorship Recovery Program. And if you are interested in getting proper help, a holistic comprehensive plan, professional coaching from the best coaches in the world, whether that's with mindset, movement, nutrition, restorative movement, reconditioning, integrating back into life, integrative medicine, baseline, structure, routine, accountability, all things health and life, feel free to apply for the program today. All you need to do is click on the form, cfshealth.com/form, fill out the short 2 to 3 minute form application, and the team will be in touch with all the details that you need to know about the program via email. So make sure you check your spam folder for all the free trainings. If you've sent through an application, please be patient. My team are real people, okay? They're not robots. So if we don't get back to you within seconds or hours, it's okay. We will get back to you. If you don't hear from the team within 2 to 3 days, that means that it's basically gone to spam or junk and it's gone missing. So please send a follow-up email to the team at info@cfshealth.com. If you have any questions, go check it out. But I would highly recommend adding yourself into the free group right now. Go click on that link in the description. Go download all the free trainings. Honestly, the whole reason why this whole thing started is because when I went through this myself, it was so painful and so excruciating that I didn't want anyone else to have to go through it. And some of these free trainings are so damn valuable. Back then, I would have paid thousands of dollars for. We've had so many comments and emails and posts saying, oh my God, the baseline training was a game changer for me. Toby, I've been doing this now for 3 months and I'm feeling so much better. My symptoms are decreasing. I've got more stamina. I've got more energy. I'm able to do more things. So, whether you're learning from us and consuming our content through our free format, I'm so stoked. Whether that's in our paid program, I don't really care. Either way, all I want to make sure is that you are moving forwards. You are starting to really implement this work. And that's really what it's all about. Once we implement, we make change and we start to move forwards. Sending you a ton of love. Of course, feel free to consume as much of the YouTube videos as you like. There's so many really, really great ones, new and old. Sending you a ton of love and speak to you very, very soon. All the best for now.